What's happening?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Man, good to hear from you.
Hell yeah, good to hear from you.
Likewise. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Houston.
Yeah,
Can you hear that?
We can, yeah.
I mean, like you can hear it good or you can hear the end?
It's a little it's kind of distorted, would you say, John? Or
Well, yes, he is the high priest of distortion, Dan.
that's true.
See what we did there?
I bet. How about this? Check it out. Can you hear that?
Oh, we heard that. Heard that squeal.
Can you hear that at all?
Yeah, we can.
So that's the whole episode, just guitar solo the whole
Yeah,
time.
just guitar solo the entire thing.
Okay, so when I was a kid,
It actually sounds like
I fell in love with the Pentecostal scale, you know? I'm sorry. I even when I taught guitar lessons for a little bit, I would write on kids' notebook Pentecostal scale, and you know the pentatonic scale, obviously. But when you're in Texas, you get a lot of backwards ass religious folk.
Yeah, so we've been hearing.
So-called religious folk. So I really do like the pentatonic and the bluesy stuff, you know. That's something that comes in Texas. That's something like, I think it's like your upbringing. If you're raised in a certain environment and you're brought up with a certain kind of element, that it's just, you can't really, you know, be taught.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like seeps into your, you know, musical bloodstream.
Well, yeah, and plus you're from the South, so the blues are a big part of the South, even though, you know, it's more of like Alabama and like Georgia and like that area. I'm sure it's still moved out to Texas. You know, you have the country, you know, Johnny Cash came from Texas, obviously. And, you know, he was...
Texas has its own brand of blues. You know, you got Chicago blues, Delta blues. Yeah, you definitely got Texas blues.
Yeah, but there's different types of blues. Like Detroit Motown blues are different than Texas blues.
Definitely. Well, Roadhouse is definitely Texas-based.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, but I'm not some blues expert. All I know is like, you know, when I was a kid, prior to original blues artists hitting me hard, it was the British guitar players' transitions of, or their own versions of the blues, like Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, and
the Yardbirds, yep.
Jeff Beck to be exact. And you know, they took blues riffs and made them monstrous. You know, and so I learned from that first. Still to this day, the feeling and the emotion that was put into those, I call them fiery blues licks that Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton were doing. You know, still, it's timeless. You know, what
absolutely.
Can you do?
Well, since you mentioned Jimmy Page, how do you feel about the whole thing with Led Zeppelin, like all the various lawsuits? I'm not even talking about Stairway to Heaven, but like most of their songs were ripped off by, you know, blues artists.
I wouldn't say most of their songs, but there's a good bit of it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, man. It's kind of that way across the board.
Mm-hmm.
It's an art, but I mean, as far as stealing like that, I've seen a comparison video of this particular songs spoken of from Zeppelin, and it's a blatant ripoff, you know.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Some of the stuff that they did. But then you have the same exact stuff in heavy metal. You know, I remember one time, Skid Row and Pantera were playing at the Astro Arena in Houston, and me and Phil were solo, drinking Heinekens at the time, and then Sebastian brought this big sack of Sacagawea, and he was like, "Smell this shit," and it was killer. And he gave us a blood. And me and Philip were just solo for a minute. There was like nobody there back there. Incredible show. We were just hanging out, and he was playing. No, I forget what it's called. It's off of Vulgar Display of Power. It's, but when I heard the riff, it took a lot of balls back then, especially when I was like, "Hey man, Philip, man, this shit sounds a little bit like, a lot like fucking that Helmet song."
Yeah.
And he just turned around and said, "What do you think I ripped it off from?" Straight up. And I was like, okay. So, but sometimes cool things happen. Like you take things and you make a riff out of it, and nobody would ever know where it came from. And I think that kind of stuff is kind of cool. Not like a blatant rip off, but like again, man, I have to go there because this cat was one of my best friends. And Dimebag, I just they were playing Psycho Holiday at this backstage club, and one of my guitar students, his name was Kyle Foster, who just passed away. He had made that Red Dean for Diamond, that This Love video, and he really liked that song, So when I introduced them together, and I was like, he loves Psycho Holiday, man. So he Dimebag nicknamed him Psycho, and
wow.
and then when the smoke had cleared, he goes, Marzi, you know where that riff comes from? And I said, where? He was a jokester, He was a prankster.
Yeah.
And he goes, you know that song Smoking by Boston? So I automatically chuckled and laughed, because I was like, how does like, what the fuck does that have to do with Psycho Holiday, And he goes, the midsection, where this keyboards goes down, down, and when it breaks down? And I said, yeah. He goes, the guitar goes. And he goes, that's on the A string. I just took it and put it on the E string.
Holy shit.
And I was like, holy shit, exactly. So it was just like, wow, man, how fucking cool is that? And that's not like, that's almost, it's not a ripoff there. That's just like a paying it forward in a way. It's just.
It's more of a tribute.
Oh God, yeah. They were great at that.
Yeah, we're not talking about like Vanilla Ice with the whole Under Pressure thing. You ever see that interview where Vanilla Ice goes, no, the song goes dun 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 dun, but my song goes dun 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 dun. It's like the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Just put a stutter in the middle, and there's my song.
The most ridiculous thing is the guy actually attempts to actually justify it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. He needs to just go back robbing people's backyards. Hey, how's it going? And now I got the blues licks in me.
There you go. You have your own badumts moment.
Yeah. Like a lot of like. And then when you play a little bit fast, you get. So it doesn't sound really bluesy at that point, but it's aggressive. And I love the note selection is basically what it is,
Got to metalify it.
Yeah. That's all blues based, but it's just, I guess it's your approach,
Absolutely.
Talk to me.
All right. Well, let's get into things, even though this whole thing has been part of the interview.
This whole debacle.
Well, it's not really a debacle. This is awesome.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
Like, we've never had basically, you're a guitar hero, more or less. Like, you have your own guitar and model it after whatever you want.
I'm playing it. Yeah.
You're playing the Washburn?
I'm playing it right now, yeah, man. It's a very, very, it's killer, man. I mean, I always play it. It's versatile. It's got a lot of different tonalities going on with it. It's got a push-pull knob where it's got humbuckers, and it makes it go out of phase, so it gets a lot of like a lot of twang, yeah.
Yeah.
You can get a little country leg and bluesy action out of it. It's cool. I'm going through like a 0.5 watt amp right now. It's just something I practice at home.
One of those
and
little,
I just happen to have it in my hands, and I'm not putting it up.
So it's like one of those cigarette, like Marshall packs that are like this big.
It is. It's like a little Randall, actually, man. They make the best. They make the best amps, and it's actually a tube practicer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you use actual Randall amps for your shows and stuff.
I use them for my shows, and I use it at home. I'm a practice amp, like I said. It's It's 5 watts actually, and it's unreal. It sounds so smooth and clean, and it's got 3 different tones to it. It's tube, so it's unbelievable how warm of a tone you can get at a very very low volume. I live in apartments, so I'm not super cranked up, and I don't
Yeah.
want, I believe it or not, nobody knows. None of my neighbors know I play guitar.
Really?
I keep it a secret. I have one guitar at home, and everything else is at storage and rehearsal space and recording studio. It's spread out. It is spread out.
Okay, so you have your treasures spread out in multiple places.
And like I said, a recording studio, rehearsal studio,
Yeah.
and warehouse. Yeah, there's some that there's a guitar house that I have with a buddy of mine. We keep our guitars in the attic.
This is not getting old yet. Like, I'm thinking, all right, I'm gonna get annoyed with the guitar. This is still fucking awesome.
Here's some Van Halen licks. I've been practicing this, the Eddie's Old Picking. I love that lick so much. I mean, I shouldn't be sitting here playing on the interview like that.
This is actually
Head
awesome.
turned sideways. Shoot, I can't even talk. All right.
For anyone that's beginning guitar, give up now.
Nah, not even. I just saw a lady eat it in the Olympics. Nah, never.
What
Trust
competition?
Me, I wake up in the morning, look up at a mountain of things that I don't know. But you got to tend to your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Some things come naturally, physically, in a way for somebody easier than somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you see Marty Friedman pick his guitar, Eddie Van Halen's like my favorite. You watch him pick, it's just strange the way they approach it. But hey, whatever works for anybody else, So I try to just hold my energy on whatever I like, my picking technique and stuff like that. And I don't question it. There's so much out there, and you can get really involved with stuff like that you don't know. Theoretically, I think you can always learn more song structures and arrangements and stuff like that. But as far as anything else, I think you should really tend everybody's special, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's unique and special. And if you take the time to kind of hone in on that energy, you can, if you happen to play guitar or whatever, you will find your voice. It's inevitable, man. It happens.
Absolutely.
Just
So
need
where did
practice.
yeah, exactly. So where did you end up getting your voice with guitar? Like, where did it all begin?
Okay, so I had a guitar. A good thing I got a whammy, and I tuned it like this, like. I mean, I did not know shit about it, man. I really didn't know how to tune. I didn't know anybody else to play guitar. I didn't have any friends, man. In Northwest Houston, like almost living in the country, like with nobody around. Parents were just freshly divorced, and my dad was just gone all the time. There was no freaking YouTube, or nobody going, hey, man, tune the guitar. One time, my dad's buddy came over, and then he goes, damn, that piece of shit, man. It's all out of tune, So he tuned it up, and he played like. He started playing Kingston. It was like bar chords. I was like, what the shit is that? It's like bar chords. And I was like, oh my God. What, so, it was cool. And my guitar was tuned for maybe a couple of whatever. And then it would get out of tune again. I really didn't know what to do, man. I noodled around with it. So as far as getting a voice, man, I've seen Eddie Van Halen and I've seen Eric Johnson. Those are my main 2 guys, like up close and in person, and like I try to go home and mimic it, but I just couldn't, man. And I would end up, coming up with my own version of it accidentally, So that's how I kind of got onto it. And then, you if you're even with that out of tune guitar, man, you could sit there with 2 strings, and I would sit there and go like. And I'd be like crying. And that is on 2 strings, man, just moving around, just like that. So, it's noodling around and fishing. It ain't that, it ain't rocket science. So you start kind of getting into a melody, and you follow the melody, and you like hear the next note, and then the next note you play is the wrong note, so you fish for it, and then eventually you kind of learn the fretboard, and then after that, You kind of go for exciting things, you know, like you touch the guitar and you can get interesting sounds, you know, you can make it sound like the wind. And, you know, you could do all kinds of stuff like from Eddie, he would do the horse, you know,
Yeah.
and he'd do the elephant. Like, how did that go? Let's see. Yeah,
It actually did. Oh, that's
well,
crazy.
it's you can do a lot with it, you know. Like I have a new song on a record that's going to come out, and it's got the main part of the song. It's got guitars being scratched, you know. But I created like a rhythm out of it, and it became a part. It's consistent too, but it's made out of guitar scratching.
Huh.
You know?
Scratching like Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine type of deal.
Exactly opposite of it.
Oh.
No, just kidding. Scratching the guitar is scratching. He uses it in a very, very unique way. I would say more. This is the riff. Check it out. So yeah, ba 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 ba. That's the rhythm to it.
Yeah.
I don't know how clean that was over here, but it sounds massive in the recording studio. And yeah, I got 8 songs being recorded right now, and Ripper Owens is singing on some of it, maybe all of it. And I'm recording a solo record at the time too. And I just got confirmation yesterday that we're opening up for Anthrax and Death Angel in Shreveport. So I'm really stoked about it.
Wow. When's that show?
That show is in September 23rd, and first week of September, I go into the studio with Phil Cancela. Cancela. Every time I ask Siri to call his name, she says PM Cancela, and it sounds like "There goes Tokyo, go go Godzilla." I don't know why I get that shit mixed up, man. I got it in my head. So PM Cancela is coming down to record for me, and this dude's got really, really fast feet. Not just that, but you know, they're like he's got some really killer speeds, and then it's gonna help me on some of the songs that I have that I could not find a drummer to, you know, in this region to do the job. So he's in Vegas. He plays with Hank III, the man, Hank III, Sheldon Williams,
Of course.
III. He plays in the 3-bar bit with him, which is like extremely heavy and fast. And he's coming down here to record, man, drums. And after that, the show is the 23rd. And after that, hopefully I'll send off the remaining songs that don't have vocals off to Mr. Tim Owens. And when they get back, mix and mastered, release, and man, take that shit on the road for a bit, you know. Tim's I mean, getting into this, I know Tim's got like such a heavy schedule with like Dio's Disciples and
Yeah, I saw that video where he played. What was it? Where they had the hologram of Dio.
yeah, wasn't that cool?
Yeah, that was nuts.
That was awesome, man. And you know, I don't know if you've met Tim, spoken to him, or
I
talked to
haven't
him.
yet, no.
He's a class act, man. He's an articulate man, and he was one of Dio's favorite cats. And I think, you know, when it comes pound for pound, you know, these days, that dude's voice, his consistency, his mannerism, he's just a man. He's like the real deal, man. I love Tim to death, and I'm blessed to be working with him. And
Yeah.
according to his schedule, we'll see how many gigs live we can get out of it. I know we both talked about going to South America, you know. I'd rather, you know, like to do that, of course, but I mean, I'd rather start right here in the States, man. I think the shortage of there is, you know, there's a lot of great bands out there. There's a lot of shit bands out there at the same token.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, you have to take the good with the bad. Obviously, you're just taking the good, but
Yeah, we're doing something I think that falls in the. It's not like old school, but it definitely has its roots, and it's not new school because it's not how would you say, conforming to some kind of trend that's going on. You know, let's say, you know, Tim's like screaming his ass off, and then all of a sudden he's singing a ballad, like every song. You know, we're not doing that, man. Every song, you know, in the tradition of the old, is different from the last. Every one of them, and they sound like the same thing because it's coming from the same source. But man, every song sounds completely different. There's different rhythms involved. I brought my chimes off from the porch, man. Used it in the studio for this ambient song that we have. Lot of different stuff,
Nice.
man.
So you're going natural, opposed to or electronic.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, 100%. From the drums to the to the bass and the guitars, all organic. I mean, truly, like nothing processed. I know there's a lot of great gear out there, but I'm just not interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I still know it's great, but I played them before, man. And I get like 2, 3 tones out of it. It's like, why would I pay $3,000 for like what I can get out of my amp, man? My amp is like tube at least. These other things are all transistor, and they mimic. That's all they're doing. And in the end of the day, they're just mimicking what a good tone comes from tubes, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, exception to the rules, Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah.
He got his stuff out of solid state amps, and you cannot deny how great that was.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and he was literally one of a kind. Unfortunately, I've never seen Pantera or him
You
actually
said
in
it.
person. But
You said it though. You said it.
yeah,
If those words were ever true to any one particular soul, I mean that he was one of a kind, unmistakable. I truly miss him. I think about him like so much, man, and I truly miss him.
yeah,
Truly miss him. That's all I really can say because he was such a character, man. He made you laugh, and he had such genuine moments where you would just like do funny shit and just maybe just quiet space, and you look at each other and you like, you just burst out laughing. And it's like, dude, it's like shocking moments. He put me through some shocking moments in my life, like, oh my God, are you, like for real? Like, he definitely shocked me a few times. Not in a bad way, but in just like.
yeah, definitely. We had Rich Ward. He's the guitarist of Stuck Mojo and Fozzy, and I think it was Stuck Mojo on like one of their first European tours. Pantera took them out, and he was like telling us a whole bunch of stories about how Dimebag would just be like the coolest guy on the planet, offer him a beer, then make fun of him, just like really like jabbing. Like he said that Pantera was the nicest band that has ever taken him out on the road.
They're so down to earth, man. And he was the party goer, man. They were all down to earth and cool. And before they were all, man, they were just great guys, man. Down to earth and kind of like that's why they were so successful. On top of not being just creating such great music, they were a people's band,
Yeah.
Dime really was like, I saw him be rude to a guy just one time, and it was I think because the dude was may have been overzealous. And he had come in. It could have been that Soccer Holiday riff conversation, and the guy came out of like left field to try to just start talking, and he told him to shut up. Like it's like, can't you see I'm talking? But you gotta respect that though. That's not being a dick. That's like, hey man, some people just like need to be addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, what are we talking about?
What was that?
Just kidding. Exactly. Hey,
Well-
check it out. It sounds like farts.
Yeah. It's like galloping horses.
Yeah. I have this tone because I've been practicing this. Like little clean kind of like passages. Percussive, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like. So I got that tone going, which is not really fuzzy or metal, but it's smooth and clean, and your mistakes jump out. So it's good practicing tool.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've read a few interviews that people have said that you are a perfectionist.
I'm a
About that?
Yeah, somehow. To some degree, yeah, man.
Yeah. More importantly, it was the interview I think they had with Phil when you left the band, and I believe Phil said that you were a perfectionist whether you were on the whether you were in the studio or whether you were on stage. Like you want to do everything like 100%, and it's a great quality to have. I mean, a lot of people just half-ass it sometimes, but it sounds
What
like
else?
you're really into it.
Well, yeah, I mean, why, either you're into it, you're pretending to be into it. I'm living. I'm like, every moment was precious to me. Every time we set foot on stage meant a lot to me. Every single second that I spent in his studio recording, or any studio, like recently the studio, Mathern studio in Mo City, Texas, that I've been recording at, man, I give it all that I got. I mean, what else is there to do? And when I say you give it all you got, in order to give it all of yourself truly, theoretically speaking, you got to kill yourself.
Hmm.
You cannot freaking have an ego or be bothered by this or that in any aspects. You go in there and you become an instrument. So you kind of like, your master is the song. You do what you got to do to make the song come out as pure as it possibly can, fiery, however I can contribute, I do. Playing live, there was no second guessing that at all, man. I knew that every single person, and I mean every single person that was there, was special, and they had attended either by will or by chance, by accident, but they meant something to me. And I'm a firm believer that, it's an invisible thing. You
Hmm.
focus and you get out there and you throw it out there. You put your energy through your heart, and man, it could be one person, it could be 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and they'll receive it. They'll receive it if it's purely coming, and it's felt. I felt it, man. I felt it, and it meant a lot to me. And it's still to this day, the result of it, the feedback from the few people that I've met on the road and stuff like that, and it's just been enormously well. And I'm glad I've had that encounter. And it was just the beginning. So, and I can't wait to get out there again. Like I said, after these releases that I'm gonna put out, I'm gonna get back out there, get out there and start playing, man. No matter how big or how small the gig, I'm looking forward to getting out there and playing.
Yeah, which is very refreshing to hear. A lot of people in the same general category as they want to play like theaters and like arenas only, while you're like, all right, I'll play a fucking 20-person bar. It doesn't matter to me as long as I'm up on stage doing what I love to do and feeding off the crowd's energy and the crowd loving every single second and every single riff and every single note that you play because they know it's genuine.
It's the truth. I just did a short South American, Central American,
Yeah.
I should say, clinic, and then the clinics are in music stores,
Mhm.
and your attendees are like 40, 50, 100, but it's intimate, dude, and it's beautiful. I had a few that were like, up in the hundreds, but I'm just saying they can go. Nobody can show up, but every single one of them, like I said, it was intimate, and they got something out of it. I played with some backing tracks, and again, I had the guitar in my hand, and that was something completely different because there was a Q&A, and like, I had it in my hand. So after I said I had it in my hand, I could have got away with the first lick. See, man, I'm addicted. Can't stop. Uh, and it's not about fiery notes and shit. It's just about feeling it. Like I was saying, you got to feel it. You
Yeah.
got to feel it. When we were mentioning Dimebag, and you say one of a kind, that dude, every single note, no matter how fast the passage and how slow, it was just completely genuine, and it was there. It was there for a reason. It wasn't by accident. So, anyways, yeah, going back to Love and Heart. Yeah, it was killer to get out there and play, man. As long as I got it into my hands and I can like give it forward in any particular way. There's a lot of kids that came out there, man. Everywhere but Costa Rica. Oh, people didn't speak a lot of English at
Okay.
all. And then Costa Ricans, man, all of them spoke English, man. I was like trying to get a show of hands in the beginning, and like it's like who speaks English here or something. Everybody rose their hand. So I did that one in without a translator. It was killer, man. Just a genuine love for music and kids out there. I gave away guitars. That just was like, icing on the cake.
Oh
Met
my
some
God!
cool
Wow.
metal people from down south, and I'm looking forward to going down there and playing too. Yeah, with the band. You know, clinics are killer.
Hmm.
All that stuff's killer. But playing playing live is something different, man. It all comes down to that. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm right now. I'm in the studio first week of September, all the way till that gig, September 23rd.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I love both those bands. You have to understand. I love Death Angel a lot, man. And last time I saw him was I ran into him. We're with the Illegals playing Hellfest. In fact, me and Mark went and snuck in and checked out Deep Purple. I got it on video when they had Steve Morse playing with them.
Wow.
And Steve Morse and Don Airy were doing like a dual keyboard guitar battle, and it was just like
No way.
it was humbling, So I love Death Angel guys, and I love Anthrax, man. And their new guitar cat, Jonathan, is I've admired and loved him since he's a good friend of mine, man. But that aside, prior to even knowing him, when he was in Shadows Fall, I met him with Dime, through Dime, at with the Shadows Fall Damage Plan concert, 3 weeks prior to Dime passing.
Oh damn.
But Jonathan's guitar playing is phenomenal. He's one of my favorites today. When it comes to that genre of metal, and he's just, man, have you heard the dude play? He's really, really, really underrated. He's
Yeah.
he's a beast.
Yeah, I'm
And
a huge
he's
fan of
so
Shadows
humble,
Fall.
and he's like almost shy. He's humble, down to earth, but he's just been one of the coolest guys ever, man. He's killer. I love him. He's one of my top buddy guitar players that I admire and I appreciate their style.
Yeah.
A lot. Gary Holt is another one, man. Gary's just got this unbelievably aggressive, unique style that's just, I can't even, explain it. And then the new Slayer, man, it's insane sounding. And his guitar tone is just, man, it's just like, man, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's like cut your, it's really, really, really awesome. I think it's killer. And then Brent Hines. Brent's a little bit on the southern side, so he does like chicken picking and, you know. I don't know what the hell I just did. That one, it sounded like a chicken more than chicken picking.
There's a little Mastodon vibe in that.
But I mean, he does, I think. So, I mean, the last time they came in concert, man, I've always seen Mastodon from the side of the stage. Have beer in my hand, side of the stage. This last time they came to Houston, I had the beer in my hand, front of the stage. I was so freaking blown away, man. I was so freaking blown away by that dude, man. I mean, the whole band is insane.
Oh yeah,
And
they're
talk
incredibly
about
talented.
organic. I love them, man. They're pound for pound, best metal band there is today. But the premier metal band, and that's American metal band, and organic drum sound, guitar sound, everything, just about as best as you can get, and it's all organic. No triggers, no this, no that. They're insane, man. One of my favorite bands, man.
Yeah, I still haven't seen them live yet, but
Ooh.
I really want to.
Man, it's a treat. It's a treat. It's a treat. They're very entertaining. They sound great, and their songs are very, man. This just not a walk in the park. They're storytellers, man.
Yeah, and that's really missing out of like a lot of just not even metal, just straight up rock and roll. Like a lot of bands do like the storytelling, like back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and it just got away like right now. Like I can't really think other than, Mastodon. I don't know any other like storytelling bands like where they could play like one riff and then you're like, okay, I'm feeling this, and then it leads to something else, and then like just gives you like a whirlwind of emotions.
I couldn't disagree with you, man. You're absolutely right. It has become um, a field of complaints and emotional this and that, and it's just kind of like gone into a whirlwind of like horseshit. But as far as like, storytelling and saying something with substance and taking your time telling it, it's still there. Still there, man. I mean, Steven Wilson's last record, I mean, it's still there in a heavy way. And that record may be not heavy metal, but it's to me, it's like, it's extremely heavy. And are you familiar with what I'm speaking of?
I'm sorry.
Steven Wilson from Porcupine Tree.
Okay, yeah.
I know that. I know the drummer. It's Gavin Harrison.
Ooh, man. Yeah, it's just insane, man. It's
Nasty.
insane musicianship, and talk about storytelling and taking your time in like a Floydish way, man, and doing it like every note is just completely perfect. That's the last band that I've heard that has just blown me away. But last American band, I don't know. Mastodon's the one. They're still doing it. Everybody else is, like I said, they're going for the money riffs and the money shots, and just like, well, let's see what's worked before, and let's make. It's just
It's just recycling. That's all.
it's lost its I don't know.
The passion, the mojo,
Whatever it is, it's lost its beauty, man, and it hasn't. It's still there. Trust. I put everything in it, man. I feel elated when I'm walking out of the studio with some of the stuff that we're doing, and I really can't wait for people to hear it. But like Tim's performance, the songs are all, like I was telling you, still different. And I know there's a handful of other people that are, still, really. There's King Parrot. I mean, look at them, man. They're different.
Mm-hmm.
There's bands out there, and they're storytelling too, man. You got to look into it, man. In a violent way.
Oh yeah. Actually,
but yeah,
I'm
the
sorry,
general pub masses and stuff like that. Yeah, it's gone. The mojo's gone because it's too creating music is too easy now. Too accessible. You can do it any other way. And you can sample a lot or do this and that. The creative element of it has just kind of vanished in a way because some things have gone easier for mankind, instead of searching for.
Well, and the crazy part is that you could actually go onto Pro Tools, get like a loop pack or a sample pack, and actually create like a 4 or 5 piece band without actually knowing how to play an instrument.
Yeah, it gets same thing. It goes for robots being in our lives, man, eventually, and people having relationships with them. It's just like, man, you're in a band because you bring something about it, there's about chemistry. Somebody can offer an idea where you can't get it from the internet or a pre-program, because they're not as kooky as some people out there.
Yeah, it's not Lil Wayne.
The human element of it is just that. As far as perfection goes, the sounds pristine. The licks are there. There's auto-tune that sounds, it's just, I'd rather hear somebody get out of key and the tempo of a song actually fluctuate because I knew there was a band playing it. And I'd rather hear somebody like be sincere and cry, man, or scream because he really meant it, because he really was saying something that it required screaming. Not because it was just something to do, because it's just now another element. It's the elements have been misused. Put it that way.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, you could tell when someone goes through the motions and you hear like a little for effect, and then you hear the little effect into that. Like you hear the soul and the passion come out of that. And it's easy to hear it live. Like on the record, obviously you could put on any type of effect and make it sound like, you're 100 yards away screaming, or you're right up against the microphone. But I mean, live you can't fake shit.
Right. But when you have bands nowadays, when I say this comment, man, and I've said it before, but it's just like some people have got to take some heat. I guess I'll take it. I'm not going to make everybody happy with all the things I'm going to say.
You can't,
man.
no.
Half the people, you're not like half, with your music, with your existence, it's like, half the people are going to like you and some are not going to like you. So I can't do anything about it. And I don't really particularly think about or care about it so much, man. All I can do is be true to myself and be the artist that I'm, striving to be. I wake up seriously, man, and I'm listening to melodies in my head, then I go looking for it. And if I can't find it, man, I'll find a way to find it. And that search is how you purify yourself. You know, without it, I'd be lost. That's like my calling, you know, without having ambitions of being, let's say, some fictitious being or like some rock star or somebody that can walk around and act like this or act like that, you know, pretentious being, I guess. There's a lot of people out there, man. There's a lot of people out there to write songs about pretentious beings and call people out that are the most pretentious beings themselves, man. They're complete hypocrites, man. They know the topics and the shit they talk about so well because they are that person.
Exactly.
It's a hypocritical world, but you know, to each his own, man. You know, to each his own. I'm not a politician. I don't carry a gun around. I do have this instrument, and before and after, like sharing it with anybody, and getting to a point of like explaining or like writing a song that tells a story. Which all the songs with Tim, they all tell a story. He's lyrically gone above and beyond. It's a personal thing, man. I'm a human being, like the rest of us. I'm a soul having this human experience, and you know, if I sit there and these notes do something for me, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna do it if you tell me to go. Can you do it faster? Or can you do it slower? No, I'm gonna do it because it soothes my soul, man. This way. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, well, you don't, man. You know, it's not something you're gonna change. It's like at a restaurant, man. I'm not making a dish, man, that you can return. But you know, I put every ounce of energy that I have into being pure. That's been my whole game, man, from the very beginning. Being pure to the art.
Yeah, got to be unique. Got to have an identity.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And speaking of identity, we talked about a whole bunch of guitar heroes. We haven't touched upon Randy Rhoads.
Woo!
Woo!
Dude, Randy. Good thing I'm not recording. God, Randy Rhoads, man. Randy Rhoads was another one. It's just fire, tone, just like the whole package. You know, kind of hard to explain it. Eddie have it. Eddie Van Halen, I don't even consider a guitar player because he's just like he made kind of sonic move with sound, and the guitar was just happened to be. I don't know, but Randy. Randy, his like the tone, the razor blade tone. He did a lot of things, a lot of like this, the flutter of that Brad Gillis had come out and did and made famous with like Night Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
There's bits of it here and there that I don't know if he did it accidentally or what, but like that's there. But like he did a few things that had never been done before. You know, and I had never done before, and then he brought the classical element into it, and just his razor blade tone, which was completely responsible for Dimebag.
Yeah, and to think he lost his life extremely young.
Extremely young, man. Yeah. I think about that all the time. All the time, man.
Yeah, what was he, 23, 24?
He was 24 years old. Yeah. And his body of work that he's left behind is still just, you know.
Yeah.
So you just think to yourself, you know, when you're in the studio, you never know when your next day is going to come. So like the stuff that you put out, you know, lasts forever.
Yeah.
What Randy did is just, you know, so beautiful, so passionate, so emotional. I mean, fiery too. Just such fire to his playing. I love Randy. I love Randy a lot. And he brought a lot to the table.
Yeah, he really did. Imagine if we just had maybe 5 more years with him on this planet. Just the amount of shit he could come up with.
He wouldn't have done it with the Osbournes. I would have guaranteed you that. He was on his way out. He had already told him he was on his way out. He was going to do 2 records with him, and he was going to go off and be a student. You know, and that dude was, you know, a purist of all sorts from everything I've read and heard and seen. Then they got Jake,
Mm-hmm.
and Jake. I'm not Jakey Lee, but man, I admire Jakey Lee's career and the way he is. He just reminded me. Jake was a rebel, man. Some people can't take shit. Some people just are not equipped to be a yes man. Be a follower and follow some trend. Jake is so underrated, man, and he, I think that that whole whatever that Zach Wild squeal,
Yep.
that's Jakey Lee, man. Jakey Lee did that first. I mean, Zach's known for it, and it's a signature thing. But I mean, if you go listen to freaking Shot in the Dark, and if you listen to those records, it's Jake. Jake is just so freaking badass, dude. And are we talking about this again? Oh, he's a rebel.
Yeah.
I love Jake's playing. I love his playing a lot. I think he influenced me as well too. Probably not as much as Edward Van Halen and Randy Rhoads, but like his
Yep.
it's whatever he did, man, whatever. So like that double thing, it's kind of a country-esque thing too. And I kind of did a Jakey Lee move when I went out with the Illegals on tour. And what I mean by that is that I actually used a guitar that had a whammy bar on it for the guitar solos that I did on those records. But when I went on the road, man, I used a Firebird.
Wow.
Without a whammy.
Yeah.
And I tried to just do all those things with bends, and kind of that was my Jakey Lee move, just go raw without anything. Now, the Priestess, it has a whammy.
Yeah.
And do all the make it sound.
Turn in Japanese.
Yeah, when he played the Pentecostal scale, sorry.
And a who?
You can get that sound, Yeah, a little Japanese. I love sushi.
Same here.
What the hell?
Dude, sushi's awesome.
Sushi is
Can't go
awesome.
wrong.
Do you get
No.
good sushi down in Houston?
Oh my God, yes.
Really?
There's so many. Yeah, dude. There's so many, so many restaurants of all sorts of ethnicity in Houston to begin with. But as far as sushi restaurants go, there are so many great ones. There are a lot of great.
Wow, man. That's crazy how they get like the fresh sushi down south. You think like it's like a coastal thing, like you have great sushi restaurants in San Francisco, in New York, but Houston would be the last place I would think of.
Well, now that you can just like from Houston's, we have two big main airports, and international airports, and like the one restaurant I go to, you ever heard of Sawakami?
Nope.
No.
They're like they come from Mount Fiji. They're little bitty crabs, right? They're tiny guys, man. And you eat this whole thing. Like when I first saw it, I was like, "What the hell? You eat the whole thing?" They were like, "Yeah, you eat the whole thing." And then you try it, man. This thing is so friggin' good. They bring you out like a long plate, and there's like 7 pieces on them, and they fry them, I think, fresh. Vegans probably won't like this,
Whatever.
but yeah, it's so killer. So that's a really an authentic restaurant that I go to in Houston that has that. Not all of them do, but that's something particular that I've never had before, man. And that, like I said, when I asked them about it, they were like, "Yeah, these come straight from Japan."
And Japan
That
has
was
its
like
own theme music.
What part of the world are you guys from?
We're based in New Jersey. We're about maybe
45 minutes from New York, I would say.
about 45.
I love Jersey folks, man. I had no idea, actually, man. I have a lot of Jersey people, man. A lot of friends in New York and Jersey.
Oh, that's
When I
awesome,
did
man.
the Randy Rhodes, when we were on the boat, oh man, everybody there was from Jersey, man. Mike Orlando. There's so many people, man. I'm just gonna forget everybody's name.
That was the Axes and Anchors crew. The cruise.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike was there with his lady Dana, and I know they're from Jersey. But I see, I may be wrong. He's probably listening. He'll listen and go, "You dipshit! I'm from New York."
Yeah.
I'm from
We're not the
Connecticut.
same fucking state. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Right. Well, I mean, if you got me confused with Dallas, I'd kind of get upset with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I mean, if you're not in that part, you will get shit like that confused. Like, if we went down to Florida and we got, let's say, Tampa and Miami confused. I mean, they both are big cities, but clearly they're on the opposite sides of the state.
Right. If you're not familiar, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
now,
understand.
are you a Cowboys fan?
Hell no.
Nice. Screw Tony Homo.
Now, Daniel.
Nah, I
No,
don't care.
I'm not a fanatic. I'm
Yeah.
not. Again, like I said, when I was on the road with the Eagles, I'm a big soccer fan. Nobody there. We had a British cast of crew. None of them liked it, man. And I was having a hell of a time trying to watch the World Cup because it was during the World Cup, and it all happens only 4 years. And the bus didn't have satellites, so when we get to some town, I try to figure out what it was like, and yeah.
What's your favorite club?
I just like the sport. Can I put it that way?
Yeah, of course.
I like the sport. I like watching it unfold. I like watching people like Messi and do magical things. But as far as pound for pound, man, with club and coach, currently I would have to go with Liverpool.
Liverpool? All right.
I love, it's like one of those people's teams, kind of like where the coach came from, Dortmund in Germany. They were like, people's team, Not a lot of that left, even though Liverpool's partially owned by LeBron James.
Yeah. Which is weird, but okay.
Yeah, but still, the history of that team's so rich. And I think growing up, that was my first like long hair hippie that I was like looking up to. Was a dude named Kevin Keegan, and he played for Liverpool, and he was like a rebel that had long hair in the era where I mean, I don't know. I didn't grow up in the '60s,
Yeah.
but so to me that was rebellious.
Yeah, it's kind of like Franz Beckenbauer. Do you remember
Yeah,
him?
my dad was Franz Beckenbauer. He was very strict, man. Like I weren't allowed to have long hair or anything. Yeah, tough. Well, actually, I was in guitar. Music was a no-no.
Wow.
This was all in secrecy.
Kind of hard to do all that in secrecy.
Yeah, you don't get any sleep. You got to wait for someone to go to sleep, which was my dad, and then I would so I'll turn my guitar volume down, and so this right here. That was my amp. Even though I had an amp, I could never play it if he was ever around. And one time before a talent show, he even hit my shit. So it was really difficult for me to obtain that. Some difficulties you go through life are like very, very fucked up and unjust, and you're like trying to go to a gig, and somebody like takes your guitar from you, things like that. Things that are like weird shit. But perseverance, man. You just go through it. It taught me, what it taught me? It taught me how to play sensitive. I wouldn't wake nobody up. Your touch gets really soft. So and then I have the heavy hand anyways. So it's good for me to have both mediums, have a really aggressive side and have a really, really, really softer side. Mm-hmm. And when I play the acoustic, you just barely rub your skin on the strings, man, and get it going, and you can create a shimmer, and all kinds of different things, Just by your fingers.
Nowadays, you just got the headphone plug-in. You just plug into the amp, and then you don't even have to, wake up anybody. You just hear it through your headphones and play.
Well, yeah. Well, now.
Didn't have that back then, Dan.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Not meant to me back then. Yeah. Yeah, just, whatever it is. All these things in life, looking back, is just shit that happens to shape you. Like they say, mountains don't get their shapes till they weather storms. Mm-hmm. These are storms I had to weather. Like if I didn't like them, if I had to repeat them, I probably wouldn't like them again because they suck. They suck for a reason, I guess. You got to get something out of it, and it drives you. It drives you for a day where you can't have the freedom to fucking play. That's all I wanted to do, man. As difficult as, I mean, as crazy actually as it may sound, I just wanted to play guitar, and it was just like a big ordeal in my family. That I don't know why, but my dad really was against me being a musician.
Well, that probably gave you more ammunition to play better.
Yeah, a little rebellious.
It did when I had an influence of mine, a guy named Frank Villegas, rest in peace. He had moved here from Cuba, and we had befriended each other. He was a senior, had just got into high school. I was a freshman, and he was just like this cool guy. We met, and he said all these things about guitar. I was like, yeah, sure, dude. But then I went to his house because I thought he was full of shit. And he picked up a guitar, and he blew my fucking brains out, man. And I was like, oh, my God, man. And he watched me play, and he said, you got the goods, man. You got the goods if you just keep practicing all that. And I remember telling him, my dad doesn't want me to do it, and so I'm not going to do this. But if I wanted to, man, I bet you I could be good. And this is actually a statement made at like the age of 13, going on 14, because I think I went to high school a bit early. And I remember telling him that. And then after that, I saw him when I was 19, after I had graduated. And during those 6 years, I turned, man. I turned and came up with some classical pieces that I had written with volume swells and stuff like that, and I just went for it. I spent a lot of time playing guitar, and it kept bearing fruit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have guitar lessons, but then when I would do things on a Monday that I wasn't doing on a Sunday, and I kept thinking, what was Tuesday going to bring? And then Wednesday, and it kept on happening, man. It was just like nonstop, man. It kept on happening.
Yeah, wow. You just really
And
influenced a lot of people right now.
I'm sorry?
I said you really influenced a lot of people listening that are thinking, okay, you know what, maybe I would want to pick up guitar, but I don't know, like I have this responsibility and that responsibility, or I don't know if I'm really good at it. And just the fact that you did it in secrecy and you basically taught yourself in probably quite a short amount of time. I mean, obviously you're still learning, but like the basics in a short amount of time.
Still learning. I'm learning things now that like my peers have known when they were 12. I'm still learning. I'm still a lot of simple theoretical stuff, but like I said, but I hone and I tend to my strengths, that had come to me like naturally. Like I picked the guitar twice, but I get 3 notes out of it. I've been doing triplets like that forever. Like the gallop, like with the so it's percussive, I mean, I could go. And I do that when it's appropriate, but then there's the gallop, the triplet part, which is percussive. And I really like that word, and I really like to play that way. I like percussion. I love my guitar being like little hammers, like just making noise out of it, just little hammers, and then rhythmic hammers, and then melodic ways and stuff like that. I really like percussive stuff. So yeah, man, anybody can do it. Anybody can just fish. You hear it in your head.
Yeah.
We could sit there and we can make up a corny song about something stupid, and we could come up with a melody, but then somebody would have to figure it out on the guitar, piano, and whatever, right? But we hear it, so it's there. It's bouncing around in the universe, like a Stairway to Heavens and Time by Pink Floyd. These songs have been there. So it's a matter of taking your time and, like you were saying, storytelling. Me, I'm trying to do it still to this day and using unique techniques. Nothing that nobody else has not done before, but in a different way. Speaking of percussive, can you guys? I'm not sure how good you guys can hear this or not, but like. It's like I'm not using a machine to make arpeggios out of it. Percussive, arpeggiated pattern, and that's part of my new song, you know. And it's like I don't know if you could hear it real well or not, or you could hear the pattern.
Yeah, definitely heard the pattern.
Yeah, so you know, making things like that, and I like the band. I like this one album actually by this band called the Muse. Muse's Absolution record is freaking genius.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's like a heavy metal Queen record, and harmonically it's beautiful and it's theatrical. But he uses the arpeggiator a lot, which is you know, you hit one note and it goes. So I was like, you know, fuck that, man. I can do this. I can do that myself. You know, that'd be a challenge and it sound cooler, in fact. So anyway, I can't wait for y'all to hear it because the drums almost does the same thing, and my boy's feet is fast.
Wow. All right, Marzi, that was one fuck of an interview. This is probably the most unique interview we'll ever have for the rest of our time doing a podcast.
And I'm going to practice next time. I had a guitar in my hand, noodling around. You know, none of it's rehearsed, but that's what makes it great.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it live next time. Anytime you're in New York City or New Jersey, we'll set it up live. Fuck yeah.
Man, now I have 2 new friends in Jersey. I got to tell you, I adore and love everyone there, man. I have not yet met anybody there. Well, there was this one cab driver. But
what the fuck's wrong with you? Hey, oh.
He was having a bad day. But other than him, God bless him. You guys rule, man. And you bet. I'm going to take you up on that offer, man. And thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for being on.
And for everyone listening, you could get him on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Marzi Army, ARMY. I can't spell.
And also, if you can go MarziMontazeri.com, and everything else is also laid up there at my website.
Yep, got a hell of a lot of videos. I saw a little bit of your YouTube channel. Holy shit, it's all over the place, but it's awesome.
Now you can see what he played on the interview.
That one's going to get tended to. There's going to be a lot of footage from back in the 90s when I was in Superjoint. We're going to start, you know, there's a little short home movie that's 15 minutes long that has a lot of that stuff.
Oh,
like
my God.
Me with a shaved head and Philip with long hair.
Oh, my God. We do need a part 2 for this one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll put that out and, you know, go to MarziMontazeri.com and like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff's on there. And, you know, all the current news is on there. So the current news is I'm opening up for Anthrax and Death Angel.
September 23rd.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
You got the new album coming out soon, so there's a lot on the horizon for you, Marzi.
Yes. Got 2 records coming out.
2? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm going to have a solo record coming out, and then I'm going to have a Heaviest Texas record come out.
There we go. You're a machine.
Trying to, man. Trying to keep busy.
Hell yeah, man. Marzi, thank you so much. From bottom of my heart, this was one hell of an interview, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Likewise, brothers.
All right. Have a great night.
You too. Cheers.